Hello everybody. Today we'll do some more on rebuilding our lives after abuse. I want to talk about losing people, the reality of it. Once you start facing your abuse, you'll find you possibly have two groups of people. You have the group of people who will side with you and see that it's true and support you and comfort you and never judge you for anything you do in regards to your family or your abuser. They will actually understand. You'll also have another group who won't believe you, who will be all sanctimonious and the do-gooders of the world, and they want you to make it up and it's all going to be wonderful. So these two groups sort of exist, and then sometimes there are some people who go backwards and forwards in the group. That's kind of confusing. So like on Monday they're with you, but by Sunday they're telling you to go back and make it up with your dad. So there's that group as well, and that just shows their confusion. You are going to face your abuse, and I'm really proud of you for doing this, and you're going to start healing from it, but you're also going to have losses, and that's why I wanted to do this one, to be really honest, because the losses are really painful. The losses will be perhaps that you will detach from your abuser or abusers, and so that will be a loss because that relationship was someone who you loved usually, and so you're going to miss them, and it's going to be very, very hard for you. But while it's so toxic for you, it might be that you need that separation, and who knows what the future will bring. The other loss is with your other family members who haven't abused you, and your friends, and you might lose them as well, because people will often take sides, particularly in families and or in a relationship. So if you've stood up to your partner because of the abuse and you're going to leave, or you've really made some conditions around it now, if you do stay, then people will listen to their side of the story, and they'll often take sides and they will choose which camp they want, and you can lose those friends. It's very hard for people. People really have trouble believing around abuse, particularly the worse it gets, the less they'll believe you. And so in my case, because I also had torture that I've just dealt with in the last few years, all the memories of those, I really hardly told anyone because I just felt it was too much for them, and I just sort of had a few close people and then worked through it myself. So that's why I'm doing it today, to get you to understand that you will lose people. It's not because they don't love you and care about you, it's just that they can't deal with it. And you will also lose them because they won't believe you and they'll take sides. Because remember, abusers are really good. They're often very charming. They're narcissists. Some of them are psychopaths, and they're very good at working the crowd, and they will be so wonderful and beautiful and lovely, and people won't believe it because they've never seen the other side. They're very good at hiding the other side. You've seen it, but they haven't. So they're just going to believe what's in front of their eyes and not believe you. And if they think you're a bit unstable because of what the abusers told them, that you're mentally unstable, they'll actually go with that a little bit more. The losses can be quite great. When my stuff came out, I lost a lot of people, and I lost a lot of friends of the family as well, and that was really, really hard, and it was kind of lonely because it was actually at a time when I could have done with a bit of closeness, a bit of comfort. However, I got through it, and honestly, it's better to have one or two people who believe you and support you than 10 people who are second guessing you and saying really dumb things to you. And that's the other thing, people are going to be pretty insensitive. If they haven't been through abuse or had to stand up against it, they will have no idea what you're doing, and they will come from that, I call it the do-gooders. The do-gooders drove me nuts. They just wanted me to go back and let's be happy families and we'll all go out for lunch, and it's like, well, I can't do this until this is resolved, and I can't get it resolved with this person because they won't admit or take responsibility. So how am I supposed to sit at this family table? They say the most dumb things to you, like, have you written a letter? Have you forgiven them? And, you have to let go of the past and move on. But if the abuse still continues, because in a sense that's what's happening, if people don't take responsibility, the abuse still continues. You're still in that same power dynamic with the abuser. Until that changes, you can't do anything but be out of it. And once you've said no to abuse, that's the only way to be out of it. And that means losing the abuser or the abuser's friends or the abuser's family. People will also talk behind your back. I could feel it. They'll talk really badly about you and how mean you've been and what you've done to your father or what you've done to your partner, because they have no real understanding what really went down, and that you're really now trying to heal and survive it. And the only way to do that is to be separated for the amount of time you need it to be. And sometimes that will be until death do us part. You need to stick to your guns. If you said no to abuse and you've decided to stand up to it and you're not going to put up with it anymore and you're not going to be in that relationship while it's still abusive, stick to your guns. They are not living your life. They have no idea what you're going through. They're not going through the pain and the suffering that you are. And so they're just making these social acceptable things. And then, of course, they all want you to forgive them. Oh, that was really big. I had a lot of that. You just need to forgive and move on. And it's like, yeah, but you're not doing what I'm doing. And I really believe in forgiveness, but you can't forgive someone when they've hurt you and you're still angry and hurt. You have to let go of those emotions before you can really forgive. And actually, I don't think you can remain in a relationship while there's still abuse and keep forgiving them, because if they keep doing it and you forgive it and they keep doing it and you forgive it, there's no point. Forgiveness is when we both take responsibility for it, or one of us does, steps away and forgives them for ourselves. But usually it doesn't work like they say in the movies. I'd love to tell you it does work like that in the movies. I wanted the fairy tale ending. I wanted my two abusers to say they were sorry, take full responsibility for it, not do it anymore, and I would have been able to be with them because I could actually forgive them. However, mine would not do that. So I had nowhere to go except back into an abusive relationship. And I think if you're listening to this, you understand exactly what it's like. So if your mother's been an abuser, your father, your partner, your brother, your sister, whoever it is, your friend, you don't have to be in that anymore. If they won't change because they have half of the way to fix it, but you can't be in that anymore because they are representing abuse and you can't be in abuse anymore. That's part of your healing. But there's great losses. You will survive it. It takes a bit of adjustment. I used to really miss my father and my sister, and I would miss them a lot around celebrations like Mother's Day, Father's Day, my birthday, their birthday, Christmases. But after years of trying to mend it, and I did try, my abusers just kept telling me to go to the psychiatrist. And I think there were days when I think I probably needed to go to the psychiatrist, but for a different reason. I just basically let it go, but I still miss them. But that will pass, and that's what I'm saying to you. Every time it gets a little easier. And honestly, your life is really better without abuse. It's less toxic, and you don't suffer as much, and you can actually do the deeper healing. I really feel that with some abusers, you have to be separate from them to do the deeper stuff, because you can't pull it all out while you're trying to go and have coffee with them this afternoon. It doesn't kind of work. You need the separation. You can forgive them. I've forgiven mine, and you can send them love. Both of mine are past now, so you can still do that if they've even died on you, because you're not going to get closure. And that's the thing that I wanted to say as well. It's very hard to get closure, and that's why you can't fix it, because you can't get any closure. And all the good do-gooders and those insensitive souls who are telling us to go and have coffee with them and make up, they have no idea, because you have to get some closure around it to actually move on. You will be all right. I was all right. My friendship groups changed. My family groups were not existent, actually, because I only had my father and then my sister. And then I had my marriage with my children, but that was completely a different place. I didn't fix up my childhood abuse, that part. But you will get over it and you'll get used to it. If you do decide to separate, it can be quite hard if it's a grandparent or grandmother, because those children now don't have connection. But you have to think what's best for the whole family. You're a whole family, and for you. And to be quite honest, having your children connecting with an abusive grandmother or grandfather is not probably going to be any good to them. They'll have to go and get a therapy. Be strong. You can do this. I've done it. I'm still doing some bits and pieces along the way, and it's been a long process, as I've said, but we can get through it. And the losses, in a funny way. It's like losing a negative relationship in your life, a toxic relationship, and it helps you actually build better relationships, because the people who are giving you love and comfort teach you what a good relationship is and what unconditional love is, because your abuser probably only loved you conditionally and you probably loved them unconditionally. So it's now better for you to be in relationships, even if they're not your parents or your partner, that are actually a better relationship for you, because they're based on unconditional love and patience and empathy and compassion, which I pretty much think you weren't getting all the time in the other ones, because abusers are not rich in empathy and compassion, because they're selfish people and it's always about them and about their power. So hang in there. Even if you lose a few, you'll be okay. All right? And there will be more people who will come into your life who will be better, and you will heal from the abuse. And I just wanted to talk to you about it, because the people around you are what your world is. That's what your world is. Our world is who we are talking to, who is around us. So make sure that you have plenty of good people around you, and don't feel guilty. Right? Don't feel guilty because you've had to have space from people. That's a good thing for you, and it's also a good thing for your healing, because with some abuse, the only way you can heal from it is not be with the abuser anymore, and that's the truth of it all. And you'll lose other people through that, but it's the only way on the healing path. So I'm sending you lots of love and healing, and just spend more time and nurture those relationships that are warm and comforting to you, and try and be a loving and kind person, and don't let this make you become a bitter person, because the world is still a wonderful place.